There's something about the experience of fighting a video game boss that's so addictive. Having this large obstacle standing in between you and the rest of the game and having no choice but trying to find some way to beat it. You may die over and over again, spend hours or even days being stuck on the same boss, but you still don't give up. When you finally get it, however, you hit this flow state in which nothing can stop you. You understand the boss's attack patterns better than the homework that you have to do the next day, and you're hitting the boss non-stop, slowly reducing its health near zero. Then you die because your hands got sweaty and you got too nervous thinking that this might actually be the chance that you finally get to kill the boss. Then the next day you finally beat him. This feeling, although many people don't like it and often hate it enough to completely uninstall a game altogether, is what gives me a high for some reason. The ability to say you finally beat this annoying enemy that stood in your way feels amazing, and once you fully beat the game you can look back at it with fondness. But there are some exceptions. There are some bosses that I still think about to this day that annoy the hell out of me. The sheer thought of them makes me angry, and I remember how thankful I am not having to fight the boss ever again. This feeling has been so strong that it inspired the very video that you are watching right now. Let me introduce you to the boss that gave me this feeling, and his name is the Watcher Knight from Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight, I would say, is a challenging game, but not because of the bosses, unless we were talking about dream bosses. I had to play some dream bosses because I didn't feel like doing the run back for one of the bosses I had to fight in the late game, and trust me, those bosses are no joke. It was either struggle through the dream bosses and get the dream gate so I didn't have to go do the run back with those stupid thorns over and over again, or bite the bullet and deal with the getting hit by those thorns and having to fight the boss with less health. Actually, I take my statement back. Hollow Knight is challenging because of the bosses too, but I never struggled with a boss more in this game until I ran into the Watcher Knight. The Watcher Knight, which is basically just a freaking roly-poly. I can't believe a boss that is canonically a roly-poly gave me so much grief. Probably revenge for me poking them with a stick when I was a kid all those years ago. The thing about this boss is that fighting just one of these dudes isn't that bad. Like, he has a simple moveset. He either will swing his sword, do the fast roll across the battle stage, or do the jumping roll. Simple if you were fighting just one of them. But no! I had to fight not one, not two, not three, but 6 of these dudes, bro. Thankfully, I learned about the secret passage that allows you to kill one of them automatically before the boss fight starts, but 5 of them still felt like too much. I did this with just the starting 5 lives the game gives you because I didn't know how to get more lives while playing this game. It was so frustrating trying to kill 5 of these dudes, especially since the game starts giving them to you 2 at a time. The worst part was when you were fighting them, when they would do one the fast roll and the other the jumping roll. It felt borderline impossible to dodge, had me tweaking honestly. They called this place the City of Tears for a reason because I was sure losing my mind trying to kill this guy. I would just have to pray that I got lucky and they moved in a synchronized attack pattern. If they did that, the fight was a lot easier to manage and ultimately I was able to kill them in the end, but damn, it was annoying. I didn't struggle with any other boss in the game as much as I did with those guys. The only other bosses in the game I think gave me trouble was the second time you fight Hornet and the Hollow Knight himself, but even then, I don't think they even compared to this boss. Then we got Consort Radahn in Elden Ring, and before you say anything, I beat pre-patch Radahn. I wish I beat him post-patch because it would have saved me so much heartache trying to beat him. Oh boy, I was not ready for this boss fight. After beating Elden Ring's main story and choosing Age of the Stars, because I'm a simp, I was able to get through most of the DLC pretty smoothly, although that random night in the cave was a rude awakening that the DLC would not be easy. Although there was a Rolana too, but I'll get to her later. But then I get to Consort Radahn. The game was like, remember this guy? Well, you have to fight him again, but in his prime. No more Wasp Radahn. This time we're getting serious. Few things that I absolutely hate about this boss. Start of the battle, right out of the gate, he jumps at you. Like, bruh, chill. Let me breathe, like, I haven't even started swinging yet. Unbelievably evil when the devs make a boss that attacks you the moment you get into the battle stage. It's like immediately throws off your game. Also, Radahn hits like an absolute truck, like whether it be his asteroid attack or the attack he brings you in and slams his swords on you, like he doesn't play, man. Even his simple sword swings be taking like half of your health bar, like what? This is why FromSoft games be so difficult. You have to be damn near perfect when it comes to dodging and hitting to be able to kill these bosses, or else they punish you so hard. I was having so much trouble I even used both of the friendly NPCs to help me. Now, before you boo me and type that I cheesed the boss or I cheated or whatever, I'm just gonna say, not all of us are masochists, okay? Some of us want to beat the game sometime that year and not have to spend a whole whopping 30 hours trying to beat one boss. Also, From Software put them in the game. I'm gonna use the game. I bought the whole game. I finna use the whole game. Then you got the second phase, and oh my gosh, that second phase got to be the hardest boss phase I've ever did in a video game. Period. I ain't even lying, man. In all my 10 plus years of gaming, I have never struggled that hard on a boss phase than I did with that boss. Gotta love how the beginning of the second phase starts with Radahn starting to float up in the air, and then his light attack with Mikula just completely blinds you and takes half of your health if you're lucky. And if you're on half health when you got there, then bye bye. You have to start all over again. Then you got the attacks when Radahn just got super speed and he just starts hitting you with after images. Feels like fighting the freaking Flash. Like, I'm just holding my shield and praying at this point. You also got the attack where Radahn grabs you and Mikula starts raising you up. I don't know what you're trying to do. You might be a little freaky. I don't know. And then the same sword swings from the first phase, but adding the light flashes was so unbelievably annoying. I know the developers were high-fiving themselves when they came up with this idea to make the boss even harder. Like, it doesn't seem like it would be harder, but trust me, it is. Because you got so used to dodging his swings without the light effect, after effect, right? But then they just throw that in, throwing off your rhythm, so now you just gotta learn 2 different swings to dodge. It's insane. Then we got the best part. When you get his health low enough, Radahn just jumps in the air, like, you're like, where did he go? What's going on? You start to relax, realizing that he's no longer in the arena, but then you look up, and to your absolute horror, you see a bright yellow light, and it's heading right towards you. It lands, the explosion has a ridiculous radius, you die, and just like that, you're back at it again. I was on this boss for days and days just trying to get back to the part where Radahn does his impression of an asteroid, and I still died at times. I was able to finally beat him when one of my friendly NPCs came in clutch and he hit Radahn square in the back, winning me the game. I had to focus my efforts solely on dodging and nothing else in order to beat him, and it paid off. Now you might argue, well, you didn't really beat Radahn. And what I have to say to you is, gang, I am finna take what I can get. A win is a win. I am not fighting that godforsaken boss ever again. Side note, before I move on to a different game, I feel that Rolana, the Twin Moon Knight, should also get an honorary mention. Because, you know, when I saw her in the trailer for the DLC, I just thought, well, this is just Pontus Sullivan from Dark Souls 3. I beat that dude before, no problem. Well, there was a little bit of problem, but I was able to beat him eventually. So I thought Rolana couldn't be that hard, and as you can pick up from the pattern of this video, I couldn't be more wrong. Rolana felt like Pontus Sullivan on steroids. Like, she felt so much faster than him, and on top of that, her swords were so long, bro. Like, I felt like her blades were hitting me from halfway across the arena, and then, in typical FromSoft fashion, would take more than half of my health away. I also felt like this boss was the absolute goat of dodge catching me. Like, whenever I felt I dodged one of her blades, the other one would hit me immediately. There were so many times I was like this close to killing her, and then boom, she would catch me with one of her blades, and I was back at the beginning. Such an annoying boss, man. Then we got the Airbuster from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now this boss is an interesting case because I didn't struggle with any other boss in the game nearly to the level that I struggled with this boss. Even late game bosses like Reno and Sephiroth, I didn't struggle with nearly as much as this flying trash bin. I'm not sure if it was just that I was just new to the game, or if I was just trash. Don't answer that. But this boss was quite the struggle. It was just so tanky, like it felt like an endurance battle, and rather than I just gotta memorize the attack patterns type of battle. So for this battle, I mainly opted to play Barret, my boy. Barret is the GOAT, honestly. He's a great father, and he has a gun for an arm. What more can you ask for? The boss fight would go smoothly for me in the beginning. I would just unload my clip on him, and then occasionally switch to Cloud or Tifa to make sure they're doing okay, keeping their health up while also doing damage to the boss. Then the real trouble would start when the boss's hands would separate, and then you would have to kill them on each side of the arena. I don't know why, but whenever this happened, this is when the boss fight went to hell for me. I want to be sure on whether I should focus on killing the hands or killing the boss. If I focus on killing the boss still, hands start smacking me upside my head every 5 seconds until eventually killing one of those people in my party, and by that point I just had to start over. But if you focused on the hands and not the boss, then it would start throwing missiles and lasers at you, and you would die anyway. This part was so frustrating to me because I would be doing fine and it would get to this point and then I would die. I was stuck on this part for hours, bro. It shouldn't have taken me this long. And on top of that, this boss is on a time limit. That's right, a time limit. You got 20 minutes to beat this boss, and if you don't, it's game over. So you can't be taking your time trying to beat this boss either, which also added on to the stress. The second phase, however, wasn't that bad though. I know, unlike the other bosses I talked about, I didn't have too much trouble with the second phase. And I felt that the second phase would have been difficult if I had to play as Cloud or Tifa since the airbuster is flying around at this point, so it would have been hard as hell to hit him, but again, thank God for Barret. Barret made this pretty simple since all I had to do was point and shoot, then occasionally use my super and bam, I beat it just like that. Yeah, I think that's all I got for now. I'm sure there's some other bosses that can make my blood boil, but they're not coming to mind right now. If you watched this far, thanks for watching. It's very much appreciated. If this video gets 5 likes, I'll make a part 2. Anyway, goodbye.